Making a quick movie on my wood boxes. This is the size that I make them. After all the wood boxes, I've been making these things for probably 20 years in different sizes, big ones, little ones, and this is the latest size, and I think it's going to be the final size that I like them at. They're basically the same as the ones that are on the pallets, but I find the pallets, the wood at the bottom rots out, and then you got nails everywhere. So those were two issues that I had to deal with. These are all throwaways. This is all throwaway. This is scrap off a sawmill. If you have a sawmill, you kind of know that you always get extra wood if you're cutting something out of there. Well, I generally cut stuff 1 inch by 6 inch until I get to where I need. Sometimes these are about 10 inches. It's just all leftover. But this here is pressure treated. This here's pressure treated. It's just a regular 4x4. This is, I think, 2x6s or 2x8s. I'll get a ruler and measure it, and not that it matters. As I said in the last video, we go to schools that were tearing portables out and go to the contractor and say, you know, what are you going to do with that? Can I have it? And it was pressure treated wood, and I guess that's a 2x8 upside down. Anyhow, so none of that wood cost me anything. The 4x4s haven't cost me on anything, and it just works out real well that way. I got a sliver in my foot. There, I got it out. Anyhow, I'd edit that out, but I don't know how to edit it. Here's how I start. You know, pick the size that you want. I'll go over the dimensions in a little while, and I'll put a stack of them together. You know, at leisure when I got a couple hours here to put some things together, or all day to put them together, something like that. So I banged a bunch of those together, and then I cut the sides, and I pushed the side over. When I put these on, I push this in a little bit, then the other pieces stand right up on there, and then I shoot them with one pass load nail in the center to hold it, and then I go from there. To get those square, I guess I'll have to get up here on my rack if I don't fall on my butt. I've got this thing that holds the 4x4s in place. This is an old door that they threw away from a school. It's a pretty good door, and I put it back on it, and I just set the 4x4s in there, and then I don't have to check them for being square because I know they're within tolerance for a wood crate. I mean, you don't have to, you can see, you know, you don't have to have great wood for a wood box, and they'll screw together and they'll turn out real good. Now the size that I wanted, how I came up with the width, which the width here on the inside is 60 inches, plus you got an inch and an inch, so that's 62 inches, I guess, somewhere around there. Is I have a space that I got to fit into next to the boiler, that in between a pole for the building and the cement slab for the boiler, and I like these to go in there, so that's what I came up with that. Now the deepness is 40 inches deep. That's from the front here all the way to the back of the last one. Most of my wood's cut 16, 17 inches, so that's my break point there, and here's my break point here. But most of the time I'll stack the wood 6 inches out further, or, you know, 4, 5, 6, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the nice thing about one of these. They're a little more forgiving on the size. You can go a little stronger on the size than the metal crates. The metal crates, if you get over the dimensions, then it just won't fit in. Two pieces won't fit in there, or they're too short and they're lacking in space. But those were not bad either. So then I'll have a gap in between, and because I only split with a single split, I can make those pieces of wood fit any way I want down here inside, and then just push it together. I've never had any wood come out of the back. That's why I don't put much back on them. I've never had wood come out of the back. Maybe when you're stacking it, want to slide through. I use nothing but screws. I used to use nails. Even ring shank nails would come out of this stuff. I could never get any of that stuff to stay, and they loosen up. If these loosen up, I just tighten them up a little bit more. That's why I went to this. This is my latest generation of wood box. The back piece here, where the forklifts or fork head goes onto it is a little bit bigger than standard. Now the screws here, you can see the one pass load nail in there. The screws there, I put a washer on. Those are 3-inch deck screws that are supposed to be guaranteed for life. So if I have one of these boards go bad, I can replace it, because I don't put any preservative on it. So I go from the bottoms over there, then I set the sides on, which is I push it one to one side, then pull it over and push the other side, and then I get to here, and then I put the back top on to make it the same width as this is right here. And before when I pass load these in, I forgot to say, I do put a square on the front one and the back one. I don't really care. Eyeball's close enough for a wood box. Wood doesn't care if it's not in a perfectly square box. But I try to put the square on the front one and the back one to kind of eyeball. I put it even with the edge. And whatever this measurement from the outside to here, from the outside over there, is what I cut this at. And then I put that in. And that really squares it up pretty much. Now you might have to pull this in or push it out, and then the next one's whatever the dimension is from this part here down to that side. I'd show you putting it together, but I'm not too good at editing, and you don't need to see a bunch of my garbage in between. You can, if you're to the point where you're making wood boxes, you're probably to the point where you can make something as simple as this. Now I don't have any helpers. That's why I stand these pieces here when I put them on. They're on the edge over there, so they stand up by themselves, and that's why I use the pass load, so I can just shoot a nail in there and it's holding it for me. When I put these back pieces on, it's kind of a challenge because I don't have a holder to hold one side, so I just put a little quick board in there, and then I'll screw it out when I get it to where I want it. The reason it's up on the forklifts is I have a hard time bending over now, and so I just braise it up to it's a more comfortable height, so I don't have to do quite as much bending over. I can bend over now. I'm getting back into it. Then at the top corners, you know, go to Home Depot. I found that these things are, I don't know, maybe $1 a piece. I don't know what they are. And I'll put these in this direction here. The reason I put them in this way, it just works best because nothing's going to hold an end grain here. So if I put 4 screws in there and 4 screws in there, that makes it a heck of a lot stronger. I don't do it on the middle section. So, and I got to let it down. I put these on now, so if I got to let it down, everything is at a comfortable height. I don't try to do anything. So that's basically the wood boxes. There's one. I got 3 more coming in over there. There's all my trash wood that I'm pulling out. I got wood everywhere. But that's just all pieces of oddball stuff that comes off, and this is all the cut-offs. So this will be a nice fire being my boiler. Here's another stack of just random wood. You find that you got a sawmill, you end up getting random wood here, random wood there, random wood. There's another stack all the way in the back there. There's a snowblower. I've been lucky. I haven't had to use that in a couple years. Anyhow, that's the wood boxes. So if there's any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. One other thing, this is going to hold a half cord of wood when it's done. Even though it's 40 inches, if I bring it out a little bit further, and then I go a little bit higher in the height, then I can hold a half cord in it, which is no problem. And you got to keep in mind, a half cord of wood, red oak, which is mostly what I do here when it's green, is 3,000 pounds. I know that because I measure it. I weigh it, I mean. You've seen my video on drying wood and Cadillac wood and stuff like that, and that's where I know. But when it's so this little pile of wood is going to weigh 3,000 pounds. So keep in mind, if your machine isn't quite as hefty as this one, or your tractor isn't quite as hefty, you might have to make one of these boxes just a hair smaller. You know, but you can make it any size you want. You can put it together any way you want. But this seems to be a very, very good dimension for me, a very good size. These boards here are 52 inches tall. I forgot to mention that. and they're whatever width. I think they're about 6 inches wide. Maybe they started 6, they might be 5.5 now. But all this wood is just leftover wood from when you're sawing. You got an extra board and you put it aside, and you got an extra board and you put it aside, and the next thing you know, you got a bunch of them. Anyway, but if there's any questions, leave me a comment in the comment below area, and I'll try my best to answer them for you. I'm gonna go ahead and put those on and go fill this one up. Over and out. Bye.